Happy Thanksgiving, and thanks for coming to our video, and I hope that you're going to just love your very first Thanksgiving, the one that you make yourself. We decided to use Cornish hens instead of turkeys because who wants to deal with a 20-pound turkey that you're having to move like this around the kitchen or thaw for a week and then end up with dry turkey. So we're going to go simpler and much more successful and go with Cornish hens. So I want to talk a little bit about the very simple ingredients for this recipe in Cornish hens. Now, I buy these in the store frozen. I can't get them fresh. And of course, look on your label to make sure that they're gluten-free. These have, these say no artificial ingredients, minimally processed, and somewhere on here it said, oh here, contains up to 4% retained water. But there's no seasonings added to this. There's no gravy packet, and these also don't have any giblets in them. So I'm very confident that these are gluten-free, and sometimes you want to be careful of turkey. Those extra ingredients are not gluten-free. The turkey itself, when they started with just turkey, that's gluten-free, but the extras are not. So we have the Cornish hens that have been thawing in the refrigerator for 2 days. You don't want to just pull them from the freezer into the refrigerator the night before you want to cook them because they may not be thawed all the way through. If that happens to you, you can thaw these in the sink in cold running water, but that's not the best way to do it. The best way is to give them at least 2 days to thaw. So we have Cornish hens. We have salt, pepper, thyme. Thyme is an herb that I really like. You could also use sage or oregano. And we have butter, and this is melted because I had it on the stove. The stove's warming up. You could just use softened butter, and that would work just as well. So what you want to do with these hens is you cut them open and check them to make sure that there is no giblets inside. The giblets are the heart and liver and gizzard, and you would find that often in a turkey, but not so much in a hen. So this is a cute little hen. They're cute. They're just cute. And you look inside of it. And there's liquid. There is nothing in here but liquid. So I am going to go to the sink now and open up the rest of these, drain out this extra liquid, and just rinse them off. And I'll be back in a minute. Okay, I'm back, and we have 6 nice, freshly rinsed, empty Cornish hens. They're each about 1.25 pounds a piece. And then I want to talk a little bit about the equipment that we're going to use. You may not have a pan big enough to hold 6 hens. You want to give them some room. The more room you give them, the better, the crispier the skin will be. So you might need to get one of these disposable roasting pans at the grocery store. This one came with some handles and a small amount of frame on the bottom, but I would not trust this just by itself with 6 hot hens coming out of the oven. And not all of the pans even have this handle and this frame on the bottom. So put them on another pan. This is a sheet pan. It's not beautiful, but it'll help give you some more stability. We are also going to tie the hen's legs up with kitchen twine, and this is cotton. You can get this in the grocery store. Don't use a plastic kind of string. Make sure you get cotton, and you're going to need 6 pieces about this long. A little longer, a little shorter, doesn't really matter. And then I'm also using a pastry brush to brush the butter onto the hens. So I'm going to put these cute little buddies right in my pan here. And the other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to, the wings, put the wing tips to the back. So they're pretty. Very easy to do. Alright. Occasionally you'll find one of these, they're all marked the same weight, but some of them occasionally actually look a little bit bigger. I put those on the end because they'll cook a little faster that way. Alright, so we have the hens in here. Okay, so you take your string about somewhere in the middle, or doesn't really matter, wrap it around the little leg, bring up the next little leg, wrap it around there, and then just tie them. I tie them, pull them like that, and then put one bow in it. Okay, now get them all situated in there nice and pretty. I take a paper towel and I just pat them dry so that the butter will stick better. Alright, and then I take my butter and my pastry brush and just liberally put the butter on the hens. You can use oil instead of butter if you want to be dairy free, but I'm using butter today. Okay, that works great. If you have extra butter, don't put it back in the butter dish because it's been touching raw chicken. Next thing is the thyme, where this is just dried thyme, and I'm going to liberally sprinkle it on. And this is just plain dried herbs, are gluten-free. When you have to be careful is when you're getting into some of the packaged mixes. Sometimes they add some ingredients that contain gluten, but just plain herbs are great. Okay, I'm going to stop and wash my hands because I've been touching the chicken and I want to use the salt and pepper. Okay, I'm back. We talk a lot about preventing cross-contamination with gluten. It's also important with other things in the kitchen. Chickens and hens are sometimes susceptible to salmonella, and we don't want to spread that around. So that's why I wash my hands. Okay, I'm going to put on some salt, and then I'm also going to put on some pepper because we like pepper. You can omit this if you don't want pepper on your hens. Alright, so these are ready to go into the oven. And by the way, the oven's already turned on. You want to make sure that your oven is on for at least a half an hour before you put these in. We're going to have it at 425 degrees so that we get nice crispy skin. And if you put these into a cold oven, you're just going to get soggy skin, and it's going to take longer. So we'll be back in about an hour. I also want to say that when you look online in various places on how long to cook these hens, it'll say to cook it a shorter time. I find that it's better to go longer than less. These are so tender you don't have to worry about them drying out. And so we're going to go to an hour and check them in an hour with a thermometer, a meat thermometer, and we'll be back. These are looking lovely. Oh, and I have a nice facial with the heat. They're nice and brown. I'm going to check them with the meat thermometer. We want to get them to 180, and we want to check them in numerous places to make sure that they're 180 everywhere in the bird. So we'll give it a shot. You want to put the thermometer into the meat. You don't want to have it touching the bone. And I'll turn this around so that you can see it. We are not quite up to 180 at this spot. So I'm going to, if you don't get to 180 the first time, you might as well just put it back in. So I'm going to put it back in for another 15 minutes. I'm going to leave this thermometer in there. And then remember when it comes out that thermometer will be very hot. So we'll give it another 15 minutes and we'll check it again. But so far all we've done is put these in the oven and left them all alone. This is so simple. So I'll be back in a little bit. These are fabulous. They are so beautiful, brown and crispy. Beautiful. And so I've checked, I put the thermometer in, and this is over right here, it's about 200. I'm going to check it in a couple of other places just to make sure that we're over 180 everywhere. It's very hot, so remember that. Okay, this one's good too. This is about 190. And we'll give it one more poke. And let's see, we'll do this little one here. Okay, this one is also above 180. When you're taught to cook a turkey and they're talking about 160 to 180 and not to go over it, they say that because the turkey can get dry. You don't have to worry about these getting dry. And so if you go over 180, you're good. If you go up to 200, that's fine. If you are about 10 minutes away from serving, just leave them out of the oven like this and let them rest. And that lets the juices kind of calm down inside, and then when you cut into it, it doesn't all run out all over the plate. It stays right there with the meat. If you need to hold the turkey a little bit, you can turn down the heat to 150 and you can keep it in the oven for about an hour without them drying out. If you need to hold them longer than that, take them out completely and then put them back in to warm it a little before you serve. So I'm going to take this out of here now, get that out of the way, and then also when you serve them, cut the strings off before you serve them. So it's very easy. You can either cut them or pull on that one little loop and take the strings off so that people aren't having to deal with that at the table. Very easy to do. Just take them all off like that. And here, this one I'm going to cut just because I looped it a lot of times. So, there you go. These are beautiful Cornish hens. I hope you love them. I hope you do this and share with us how well it worked for you. And happy Thanksgiving.